Welcome to Mountain Made Low, where we help you encounter the love of God and live well in the modern world. I'm Christine Reagan.
And I'm Dennis Mueller.
So, Dennis, I have a question for you.
Here it goes.
How...
Right out of the box.
Right out of the box. How often do you look up at the sky and kind of wonder at the stars and the constellations?
I actually do that more often than you would think. I do, because, well, ever since I was a little kid, sitting down with my grandparents' back steps and everything, like on the stoop porch that they had when we were growing up, because they only lived
Such
about
a Philly
block.
kid,
yeah,
on the stoop.
They lived about a half block up, and it was nice. I would always do, stargazing and constellations and stuff. And where I'm at now, where I live now, we have a huge yard, and I even have an app on my phone, so I'm looking.
Do you star charts?
Yeah, something like
Yes.
that. I don't know if it's star charts, but something where I'm like, I think that's Jupiter, right?
Yes.
And then I'll just, hold the phone up and it'll confirm, and like, no, that's Saturn.
Right.
So it's I do like it. There is something mystical about it. And when I was out in Arizona one year, oh my gosh, well, I was out there a couple times, but when you're out there and there are no lights, it's awe-inspiring.
Yeah. If you go upstate a little bit, you can see a little bit like that. But I imagine, like, when you travel other parts of the country, there's just no ambient light that you're competing with.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's just so gorgeous, and you can just sit there and you can just count the number of shooting stars that you see. When you're out there.
I have seen a couple shooting stars.
It's
yeah.
pretty wild. It really is wild.
Yeah, I think there's something when you're met with like the grandeur of God.
It's humbling. Yeah,
kind of takes your breath away a little bit. Like you don't know, like what are you going to say other than you just find yourself in the midst of it, and you're just like, I'm just going to let it happen. I'm just going to take all of this in, and maybe realize what I'm a small part of.
Yeah.
So
in the city, it's kind of like meh. There's not much.
No, you have to
get a couple
get
stars. That's it.
You got to get out of
Maybe
Dodge
that's
a little
Orion.
bit.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the winter constellation, right? You really can't see Orion in the summer, can you?
I think you see. Oh, don't quote me, but I remember seeing him.
I've never quoted him.
No, I remember. Yes, you have. Yeah. I remember seeing him in the more summer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do remember him. One constellation, he was easy to identify, and I do remember that growing up, and I would have been outside for all those things. Yeah.
All right. Well, I stand corrected. And I am just filled with such a sense of wonder and awe about how much is going on out there. And for generations, space has captured the human imagination. I mean, civilizations have constructed storylines that weave constellations and characters together.
Star Wars.
In these, exactly. But these mythical, like the Romans and the Greeks, they have all these mythical storylines. And it just seems to be how humans make sense of the magnitude of outer space and the divine quality that it represents. All things considered, you have to realize in the midst of all that, the Earth is just a really small part of this enormous universe.
I always tell people that, like, when we're talking in theological circles, we amount to like a speck of dust in the grand scheme of the universe.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at how expansive...
The Bible speaks to that a little bit, without even having the scientific knowledge that we have today. Yeah. It reminds you of how small you are and how short you're.
We are woefully insignificant. And then when we take a look at the cross and we see the depth of God's love and understand who God is as this infinite, eternal being of love, can be a little awesome to meditate on.
Yeah. Just now we're starting to venture out and discover most of this universe that God created. I mean, we've been doing things for hundreds of years, but I would say only maybe since we landed on the moon and shortly before that have we made these what seem like tremendous strides. We really haven't discovered all that much, but we're going further and further out than we ever have before. And humanity did this most recently in the past couple weeks with the Artemis II mission.
I actually thought that was a prank. I mean, I'm not one for watching the news, so I don't catch a lot of things.
Oh, no. Are you a conspiracy theorist?
No, not at all. I just don't want to be bothered with the news. I don't care. Sometimes I'll get caught up.
But real quick, before we get into this, do you believe that we landed on the moon in 1969?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because a lot of people who don't.
Yeah.
I'm surprised how many people.
No, I really did, because I think they were set to launch on April 1st. And
They did launch on April 1st.
So
and people think, well, that's the sign. That's the inside joke that it really didn't happen.
Yeah, I sat back and I was like, this is an April Fool's joke. And then I actually looked it up and like, oh my gosh, there really is a launch taking place.
The circumstances and the elements have a lot to do with when they can leave.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to we can't go on we can't go on April 1st because everyone's going to think it's a joke. They're going to go when they can go,
Right.
and it just so happens. But what happened were 4 astronauts traveled further than humans have ever traveled before. They forged new frontiers by completing a nearly 10-day journey that orbited the moon and took them over 250,000 miles from Earth.
And that was the furthest they've ever gone, right?
Furthest they've ever gone.
Man's ever gone, yeah.
Yeah, because we've landed, but we didn't go. They circled the dark side of the moon, which is what they said that they lost communications for 40 minutes when they did that. Imagine that. You can't communicate with mission control. You are just completely out of communication with the world.
Yeah.
And you just have to kind of wait to come back. It's really, really fascinating.
That's when they were taken over by aliens and aliens returned.
Right. And they were like, April Fools. And then, so perhaps the greatest thing, and this is what brings us back to our podcast and our mission, perhaps the greatest thing that happened on that journey around the moon is that the gospel was proclaimed.
Which was really cool.
Yeah. And around Easter, which was perfect. But the proclamation of the gospel, that's really what we're going to be talking about today in light of human space exploration. And really, this episode might just end up being our thoughts and reflections on this critical period of space exploration and how God is, or maybe should be, front and center of the whole conversation. And for at least one of the astronauts in the Artemis II mission, that was the case. There's one guy who definitely got it, and that was pilot Victor Glover. And he was the one who was asked for an Easter message, and he offered to those back on Earth, he said this. He said, when I read the Bible, and I look at all the amazing things that were done for us, who were created, you have this amazing place, this spaceship. You guys are talking to us because we're in a spaceship really far from Earth. But you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos. I love everything. Actually, I don't. But I really love that. He witnessed and testified to the beauty of creation and its creator from a vantage point that most of us have never seen.
And what's really neat is, like, for those who have been at that vantage point, they've always been very introspective religiously, theologically.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what's really cool? One of the other astronauts who said he's not a particularly religious person, when he came back from that mission, he was talking to, I think, a naval nurse or a naval doctor, but they're brought back on a naval ship, and he saw the cross that naval officer was wearing. And he started to cry. There was something, and he didn't profess himself to be a particular believer, but he said seeing the cross just brought out this wave of emotion.
Yeah.
So it's coming out in a variety of ways.
I think it's interesting, too, because in an age where so many have pitted faith and science against each other, what's interesting to realize is that statistically, for astronauts and scientists in general, they're not usually atheists. I think the assumption is they're atheists, they don't believe in God, but that is not true when you look at the statistics. They really are people of faith. Now, they might be a little bit more on the agnostic side. They might realize that there has to be a God behind all this, but they might not subscribe to a particular religious belief. But they are people of faith, and they're traveling into space, and this scientific exploration only really affirms their faith. It doesn't shake it. It reinforces this belief that they have that there's something greater than themselves. And so I can really only imagine that people who desire to go to space, they're doing so because it's majesty and glory that calls them in some way. There's something there where God is maybe kind of calling them. And the Catechism teaches that humans are created with a desire for truth and meaning. And that's probably why this other astronaut had that visceral reaction in the way that he did. Because, perhaps space exploration is really just an expression of that God-given longing that's been pressed into our hearts.
Yeah.
That
I would think
we're
so.
hardwired in some way.
I've never felt this desire to go to space. I would never, even if I were offered free trip, you'd come back, you'd live through the whole thing, I still wouldn't go. Would you?
If I was guaranteed to come back, no problems, no issues,
Yeah.
I would probably do it.
Really?
Yeah, I would.
Ooh.
I wouldn't enjoy the ascent and the descent, but everything else would be good. Yeah, because I'm not one for like roller coasters even.
No, that's funny. I do like the roller coasters, but there's so much on this planet that I'd still like to do. I don't need to go outside of.
No, it would just again, I think that there's that longing, just a reminder of just how amazing life in general is because of this.
I do think astronauts are extraordinary people. To be able to do what they do under the amount of pressure in the face of the unknown. They have to be just superiorly connected in many ways. They don't always make people like that. They're a special breed of people because they're up there. They want to be up there.
Unless you're like space travelers just driving, what is that, the X-1, who was up there? William Shatner, somebody else? Didn't somebody else just go up?
The Blue Origin thing where you go up and then you kind of you come right down.
Yeah, something
well,
like
like
that.
Jeff Bezos and stuff. You're not really an astronaut. If you 10 days away and back, fine, you're an astronaut. You go up for 10 minutes, that's...
No, I agree.
But I mean, I think about what Scripture says, and there's also a quote of Augustine that I love. So Scripture says, in Psalm 19, it begins with, "The heavens declare the glory of God." I got a sense of that in what astronaut Glover said. And Augustine, this is one of my favorite quotes of Augustine, and it's long, so bear with me. Augustine said this, because I think about how much the human person desires to seek and to know and to maybe travel outside and to discover. And Augustine said this just pretty early on in church history. He said, "Question the beauty of the earth, question the beauty of the sea, question the beauty of the air, question the beauty of the sky, question the serried ranks of the stars, question the sun making the day glorious with his bright beams, question the moon tempering the darkness of the following night with its shining rays, question the animals that move in the waters, that amble about on dry land, that fly in the air, question all these things, and they all answer you, 'Here we are, look, we're beautiful.' Beauty is their confession."
Yeah, and you have to ask, like, well, what does all this confess? This is what Augustine's getting at. What are they confessing? And what they're confessing is the Creator, space included, in the most mysterious of ways. So who would want to put the kibosh on that, right? Not the Catholic Church.
No.
The Catholic Church has really embraced it. There's no antagonism in the Catholic Church between faith and science. They look at them as it's the same. It's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Right. You can't have one without the other. The Catechism begins with that: faith without reason. Right.
It's not wrong to want to know. It's not wrong to see this desire to seek the beauty and have that beauty confirmed is a desire to seek the Creator and know Him. That's what Augustine is saying.
Yeah, and the more science that we uncover, the more we know that the universe and our place in it is not random. There's an intelligent design behind all of this. It's ordered and it's beautiful. And so the church sees all of these qualities as reflections of the Creator. When we get into space exploration, that really embodies this harmony of faith and reason. And I really believe that that's why there's so many astronauts who recognize these things, because of this unique vantage point that they have when they're up there.
They're seeing this connection between the creation that they're a part of and that they're witnessing and the fact that they couldn't have made it.
Right. And they realize that there's definitely something bigger at play here. There's something bigger than themselves.
And I think it's important that...
And it's not metaphysical.
No.
Yeah.
No. And in April of 2026, I think this is a really important thing to communicate to the world. Maybe we're just talking about creation, but we're communicating divinely revealed things that people need to be reminded of, because you just get so focused on your daily routine and you don't realize how much is going on outside of you. Sometimes we don't understand what's going on outside of our own self and experience, outside our own house.
And sometimes that leads to the glorification of the self. And then we are our own God.
Right. And I feel like at this moment in time, with this space exploration, God is being glorified in a particular way. Yeah. And that's why I really thought it was important to talk about today. But there are other people who see space exploration as this exercise in human hubris and pride, like a modern day Tower of Babel. Yeah. Couldn't the money be used for something else? And are we trying to seek the heights where we're actually trying to get to heaven? And I've never heard something like that communicated from any of these scientists or astronauts. I think they take this on in a very humble way, in a very noble way. They're not trying to become God. I'm sure there are some people that have a God complex. I mean, you have one. So, I mean, everybody could have one. But I think for the most part, they just seek to know, and they're looking for truth to reveal back to other humans. Yeah. They just want to know, and that's a good thing. And John Paul II said this. He said that science, this is very good because science can purify religion from error and superstition. So we can take religion and religious practice and observance in an unhealthy way, right? Into error, into superstition. And then he said that religion can purify science from what it can fall into on a dangerous end, being idolatry and false absolutes. Yeah. So we need the two of them. And that's what I feel like we're seeing right now with this coming together of faith and science, faith and reason. This purification that's going on is extending for the very first time on the far side of the moon, which we have now seen. I just think it's amazing. But I cannot imagine if you're out there thinking, gosh, this is just so unnecessary. Number one, maybe you're right. Maybe we're wrong. Having said that, I just don't feel like you can go into space and not be immediately humbled. I mean, the sheer scale of the cosmos and all of its vastness points to God's infinite transcendence and my insignificance, except for the fact that God loves me and says that I'm worth redemption. And I always get a strong sense of humility from the astronauts, as I said, especially these 4 that were on this mission. Frankly, I think they're happy that it just went well and that they're here. But I think 3 out of the 4 of them have done this before. They've been to space before. So this was not their first rodeo. They seek to go back and do more work in penetrating the rest of the universe and as a result, the one who created the universe. And in preparation for the mission, because again, I think space makes believers out of people. Science should make you a believer. And so Glover said this. He said, in the military, there's a saying that there is no atheists in foxholes. Right? Now, why? Explain that. Why are there no atheists in foxholes?
Well, because you're scared
Yeah.
out of the bejesus,
Yeah.
that you're gonna
Delicately put.
that you're gonna die, and so it doesn't matter really what persuasion you are. You're praying in earnest, to
And you go into it automatically almost.
If there is a God,
Right.
get me out of
Help
this.
me.
Keep yourself out. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Spare my life, something
Yeah.
like that. And so he said there aren't any on the top of rockets either.
I can imagine.
The circumstances are a little similar, right? And so undertaking such a mission maybe draws the God out of you, maybe draws the image out of you in a
He
way.
uses whatever he can.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're very aware that they're out of their depth in so many ways doing the things that they're doing and that they're a part of something that's so much bigger than themselves. And these people love what they do. And I would argue that love is really at the heart of this whole thing. And I hope people can talk about that more. I hope people can see that more.
Yeah. And Benedict XVI said, when he was talking about creation, the world is not the product of darkness and chance. It comes from intelligence, freedom, and from the beauty that is identical with love. Yeah. And I would even say that is identified with love, right? Because if God is the source, who is love, it's not just identical with love, but it's identified, from love. And again, that intelligence, that freedom, that beauty.
Yeah. And we've been given a world where we're able to navigate that freedom and that beauty. Like Glover said that we're on a spaceship called Earth, and that it's been given to us as a gift. And that's because he loves us.
And it's existential in a sense, but we have these transcendental truths that really lead us into philosophical proofs for the existence of God. I think we might have talked about that on an episode way back. Yeah, these transcendental truths, this beauty and everything.
Like Augustine, question the beauty of the earth. That's God lies
you
in that beauty.
Yeah, and you want to question things scientifically too, because in the end, it's all going to lead to one place, which is the source, which is God.
Yeah.
Many astronauts, both Catholic and non-Catholic, have described space as a profoundly spiritual encounter. There's just a couple of them. I think we pulled a couple of samples out for the listeners. Colonel Frank Borman, who flew the Apollo 8 mission after seeing Earth rise on the horizon, he had the feeling he was looking at God's creation. John Glenn, who everybody knows, he was the first American to orbit the Earth. He said, to look out at this kind of creation and not believe in God is impossible. Right? And then during the Apollo 11 mission, Buzz Aldrin read Psalm 8 during a broadcast, and he reflected, when I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him?
Just give me some space and a good King James translation, and I'm in. There's another astronaut, Doug Wheelock, who served on the International Space Station, and he said, looking at Earth, he says, it looks more like brushstrokes from the master's hand. I am convinced that it would require an unimaginable amount of faith to believe that all this just happened by chance. This is not the Bible speaking to us.
Yeah.
This is just your fellow man
Right.
that have seen things that we have not seen in a way that we have not seen it.
Well, creation reveals the glory of God. And so
The heavens, that's what 19 says. The heavens and the earth reveal the glory of God.
I mean, we can come to know God simply by looking at creation itself. But God took that one step further by becoming man and revealing his heart, to us through the person of Christ Jesus.
And then there's another quote of Wheelock that I like because it kind of puts the onus back on us. He says, "My human reaction is a combination of humility and tears. What an awesome God we serve." Right? It's not just, oh, God is real. This is amazing. Look at how beautiful this is. It's, oh, this is the one that we serve.
Was Wheelock Catholic?
I don't know.
I wasn't sure.
That would have been a good thing to research. But anyone can look that up. Doug Wheelock. I mean, his quotes were the ones that I was particularly moved by. It's great to point out the presence of God, but he's going to look it up. Dennis is our stat guy. Dennis Mueller is going to look it up.
Continue.
So there's another person who should be mentioned here, and that's Teilhard. And I don't mean to become overly intellectual with any of this, but I do think that he has something to offer in this conversation. And while who I'm talking about is Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who was a French Jesuit priest and a scientist who wrote very mystically about the cosmos and the earth and the universe. And he spoke about it in a spirit of everything moving, everything in creation, the entirety of the universe, the entirety of the cosmos, everything's moving towards Christ himself. It's what he called the omega point. Have you heard of this stuff before? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Or have you ever read Teilhard or anything
Who's
like
that? No. Yes, I've read Teilhard.
Well, Teilhard's a bit of a controversial figure. I know. He died in about, I think, the 50s, probably in early 50s or mid 50s. I know that not everybody likes him. He's not been condemned by the Catholic Church. He said a couple things that were questionable. I'm not denying that. Having said that, Francis has quoted him. Benedict has quoted him. Much of what he said,
it's like
especially
Origen.
scientific.
Go back to look at Origen.
Look at Augustine. His universal salvation, by the way.
Origen is right in the Liturgy of the Hours. His writings are in the Liturgy of the Hours, which is prayed universally throughout the church. He's not a saint.
No, but gosh, he's a church father.
Yeah,
it's hard to. I know what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? But there was some things there that just didn't jive with that were controversial and everything.
Right.
And so,
but Augustine with the whole universal salvation thing. I mean, you got to give him a little bit of a pass because of how early he was theorizing and theologizing and meditating and everything like that. So, if you don't know what we're talking about, St. Augustine said a few things that might suggest that he thought everybody would be redeemed regardless of their sinfulness, right? Regardless of their judgment. They would just, everybody would be saved. It's what it sounds like, universal salvation. Yeah. So listen, it would be a wonderful problem to have. I don't think it's true. And I don't think that had he thought about it anymore, it would have taken him to that end. And I think Origen kind of teetered on that a little bit too.
Yeah.
But Teilhard says this. I love his image of the omega point, because the idea that everything and everyone is being drawn towards this point of culmination, and that point is the very person of Jesus, I think is a beautiful thing to think about and pray on. And he provides this insight. He said, "By means of all created things, without exception, the divine assails us, it penetrates us, and it molds us." And he said this meaning that space is a place where Christ's presence is not absent, but waiting to be discovered. So to me, I'm reading that and I'm seeing it as it's a good thing to go out and explore new frontiers, because we're going to understand that omega point that much more.
You and James C. Kirk.
I was just about to say to infinity and beyond, but that's a totally different franchise. But I mean, so perhaps the more we discover, the closer we're going to get to that omega point.
Yeah.
The very person of Jesus. I mean, why would God have created? He could have just created Earth and not allowed us to get out of it, Yeah. But if he's going to create the world in the midst of such a large universe, it's ever expanding. We have no idea. It's infinite. There's no end to it that we can tell. Why would he do that if we weren't supposed to discover it?
Well, I mean, he gave us an intellect for a purpose, right? Yeah. He wants us to wonder. He wants us to think. He wants us to create. I mean, we're created in his image and likeness. So
you think space exploration is a good thing?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it.
I agree with you. Yeah. But I think it's fair to say that
we need to move on to another planet at some point so we can destroy that place too. So
yeah, this one, Nate Bargatze has a great joke. He was like, this one's almost done, basically. Like, he's talking about the Earth. It's like, we're almost done here, folks.
Right. But when you take a look at the church really sees life as this pilgrimage towards heaven. So there's this space travel, almost like a spiritual metaphor thing kind of going on, where space travel mirrors this pilgrimage, and you leave behind the comforts of home and you face the unknown, trusting in something or someone greater than yourself. when you talk about space exploration, we have to realize that it's not just a technological achievement. It's the spiritual journey into the wonder of God's creation.
Or it should be.
Or
right?
it should be,
How beautiful
ideally.
would it be if we undertook everything in that spirit?
Yeah.
But I think best case scenario, that's what it is. That spiritual journey towards the omega point, if you want to say.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Into the love of God, I would say.
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
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 What's another thing Teilhard said? He talked about like the divine milieu,
Yeah.
the all-encompassing love of God.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a shame that we need space to that, because we should be approaching every day when we get up in the morning as a journey of wonder into the love of God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
You can start tomorrow, Dennis. You can start tomorrow.
I might be a little ahead of you already.
So Victor Glover, which by the way, it's a fantastic name. The pilot that we spoke of in the beginning, he said, "But you're on a spaceship called Earth that was created to give us a place to live in the universe, in the cosmos." If you're talking about space travel in this as like spiritual metaphor, I mean, Earth is a gift, and Earth is this vehicle that has been given to us to go where? To get to our eternal home, right? We're living this out. We're wrestling with God and each other and ourselves day after day to hopefully experience eternal life forever. And I just have to think, do we approach our lives and God's creation like the gift that it is?
Yeah.
Are we spending this life always drawing closer to the great gift giver, the one who's always inviting us to eternal life?
Right.
You know, maybe calling us out from the earth to see him in a brand new way, but is always calling us home, no matter who we are, where we are, what spaceship we're on.
Right.
You know?
And that's why I think we should be looking at, what this encounter with space and thinking, well, this is great. I mean, that's all out there. There's this grandness to all that stuff. But what about my encounter throughout the day-to-day life?
Right. And we have some things to say about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, thinking of Earth as this vehicle that's provided to us to take us to our heavenly home one day, that would be, as you say, a game changer.
Yeah.
There's another one of the 4 astronauts. Her name is
I like me
Christina
a good
Cook.
game changer.
I know you love a game changer. Astronaut Christina Cook said in her reflections after the mission returned to Earth, she said, "Planet Earth, you are the crew." I like to think that they talked about some of these talking points up there. They're like, what are we going to say when we get back? Like, somebody write this down. Planet Earth, we are the crew. But think about that. If this is a spiritual metaphor, if this really is a spiritual journey, and we're all in this pilgrimage together, going to heaven, hopefully, well, the rest of humanity and the people of God in the church are our crewmates on this pilgrimage. The church is the ship. The church is the boat. The church is the spaceship. Whatever you want to say, these are our companions on this spiritual voyage. What adventure do you want to go on alone?
There's a religious sister, an IHM sister, who I've always admired, and I've worked very closely with in this diocese, the Sister John Sheila Galligan, and she's just struggling with some health things right now, so we'll definitely keep her in prayer. I was always like, I just remember, it might have been, she was teaching a course on the Blessed Virgin Mary, or something along those lines, and she says, "Where are we headed? Where are we headed?" She says, "We're headed for heaven." When people ask you, like, "Where are you headed?" Tell them, "I'm headed for heaven." Right? I'm not headed to the grocery store. I'm not headed to work. I'm headed to heaven. And if we keep that mindset behind us, it really does kind of maybe mold our perceptions as maybe I'm on my way into work, or I'm on my way to the soccer field, or I'm on my way to this party, or whatever it is. I'm on my way to clean the bathroom. There's a mindfulness there that reminds us that there is something bigger at the end of all this than ourselves.
And are we
because it's so
asking-
easily to kind of lose our way a little bit.
Right.
The church refers to us as pilgrims. We are pilgrims. We are foreigners in a foreign land. We were not meant for this world. We are meant for heaven. That's the final destination.
You could almost say that we're like alien to this world, right?
Yeah.
People always talk about, are there aliens? I have no idea. But in the sense that we are alien to this world, as a beautiful of a gift as it is, we're not meant to stay here.
Yeah.
Right? Our eternal destiny, our true home is in the glory of God. As you're headed for heaven, are you incorporating other people on this journey with you? And that's what I really loved about watching these 4 astronauts band together, and they seem like they have a real bond.
Yeah.
And I want that more for the church. It's not just I go to Mass on Sunday and I leave, or I go to this quick ministry thing and I leave. It's, are these people part of your crew? Are they part of your world? I'm not saying you have to be best friends with everybody. We're not getting matching tattoos.
Right.
But I just
I might get a matching nose ring to match yours.
listen. And I would say, please don't. I wonder how much we're interested in other people joining in with us. If we have a relationship with God, are we just saying it's just me and God? Are we incorporating other people into this too?
Well, we need to be. That's
That's
the
thing.
point. Yeah.
Right. But are we just sufficient with how things are? It's no, I say my prayers, I do my thing, I receive my Eucharist. It's just about me and God. It's really not. It's about oh God, I hate this hymn, but we're companions on a journey. And it's a terrible hymn, but it's a solid truth.
At the end of the day, we're all on this invitation to know God more deeply, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so space nor science is a threat to that faith, right? I mean, they work, and the more I think that we discover, the more that we encounter the mystery of God. But it can't stop there, as we've been kind of alluding to, on the back end of this episode is, it's great to be out there talking about this nebulous space and, oh, I'm just so inspired, but eventually you're coming back to Earth, right? And for many of us, we ain't ever leaving Earth. So how does this translate into our day-to-day life?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
That's the important takeaway here.
Yeah.
We need to be reminded of, one, our smallness, but that we are also called to something more, something greater than ourselves, that is outside ourselves, and that's God.
Right. And I think most of that's going on inside. I mean, and so we can't look beyond this world and ignore what's going on in our own hearts. What have we really explored on that front? Have we discovered God there yet? You might say, okay, well, yes, I would have my faith in God affirmed if I'm looking at the round earth from the moon. Okay, but what about your heart has changed?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Talk about a frontier, right? I mean, that's...
Well, what is the actual final frontier? Is it space, or is it the heart that desperately needs to be remade and renewed?
Yeah.
And
we have to be careful too there, because I think sometimes that can get a little new agey.
if you let it,
Yeah.
sure. How so, though?
Well, I mean, it's all about me becoming, me being, right?
Well, but I'm not talking about on your own power. I'm talking about being in touch with the deepest part of yourself. That's not yourself. It's the image in which you were made.
Right.
It's Bishop Barron puts it in a really way. He said,
I understand what you're saying.
You want to find the place within you where you are here and now being created. The New Age part is like self-empowerment. I'm talking about God flowing in and through you to understand who you are and what you were made for. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
Do I sound new agey?
No. I just wanted to make that clear, to make sure we were clarifying that for the listener who might be like, "Oh, that's that's not what we're talking
I can do that
about.
in my Reiki class later on.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
No,
please
forget
don't.
it.
Please don't do that.
Yeah.
But have we discovered God inside our own selves? Have we done the interior work that needs to be done? Because the human person, the human heart, is the greatest creation, the greatest wonder.
Frontier.
We're the masterpiece of God's creation. You could go to the moon and back and still not think about anything that's going on in terms of your own holiness, your own sinfulness, and the relationship that you have to God. And so, yes, Psalm 19 is true. The heavens do indeed declare the glory of God. But we are also called today to do the same thing on this planet within our own selves. Yeah. Jesus came here for a reason. He didn't go to Mars. He didn't go to, give me another galaxy. What's another one? What's the closest one? Andromeda, okay? He didn't go there. He came here. He assumed a human nature. He was bound by earthly confines to perform the work of redemption.
And think about think about the Eucharistic miracles, right? When they take a look at those miracles, it's not skin cells, it's not hair, it's not any other part of the body. It's the heart.
It's the heart. We're going to have to retitle this episode. It's the heart, the final frontier. Meditations on Artemis II. That's what it's going to be. There's another quote I have here. So astronaut James Irwin, who was on the Apollo 15 mission, and I think, what was that, in the 70s? You were alive. Do you, that wasn't actually meant to be a joke. I think it was in the 70s. But
I have no idea.
He said, because this had to be post 1969, because he said, Jesus walking on the earth is more important than man walking on the moon. Because your breath can really be taken away with, gosh, look at everything that we can do. And it's amazing and it's beautiful. And God's allowing us to do it. Yeah. But there has been no greater human achievement than the one that Jesus himself performed on the cross, right? And it's not even thought of in terms of human achievement. It's thought in terms of sacrifice and love. That's the truth that I wish would go into the human heart that much more. So the human person is still the greatest of all God's creations, no matter how many galaxies we discover, And there's plenty of interior work to do that we need to do as well. And Augustine cautioned us against ignoring the wonder within. He said, people travel to wonder at the height of the mountains, and they pass by themselves without wondering.
Yeah, just look in the mirror. I mean, one of my favorite passages is Ephesians 2:10. I mean, in the New American Bible, it's translated as handiwork, but I like the other translations translate this as masterpiece. You know, you are a masterpiece of God's creation, and I try
wonder on that a little bit.
Man, I try to emphasize that so much when I'm working with families, when I'm working with youth, because I just think today, I mean, we take a look in the mirror and we just look at what's staring us back of the face, and sometimes we're really disgusted. You know, we're not happy with our appearance, or we look at that and we just don't like what we see, or we've been fed a lie about who we are and what we are, and yeah, it's a hot mess. But I mean, look in the mirror and just look at yourselves as a masterpiece of God's creation.
Not your own creation, but God's creation. Yeah.
Right?
It's our own participation in the things that we do.
And that you're here with
overwhelm
purpose
us.
and for purpose. You know, I mean, God just didn't randomly decide like, oh, okay, 2026, I'm going to make so-and-so. 1970, I'm going to make so-and-so. There's a purpose, there's an order, there's a design behind all of this stuff. And so your life has purpose, your life has meaning, whether you're ready to acknowledge that or not, whether you're searching for it or not. It doesn't deny the truth, you know.
And I think this is the good news that Artemis can share with us. Yeah. We marvel at the wonders of the world. We're marveling at what they were able to do just a couple weeks ago, but we rarely stop to wonder at what's going on in our own soul.
Yeah.
And that needs more time.
The beauty of us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's take that to prayer this week, you know, and as we marvel at this human achievement, let's not divorce God from all of it. And remember that the only reason that we're doing it, or that we should be doing it, is to get closer and closer to the God who has orchestrated the beauty that would bring these astronauts to tears.
Yeah.
There is beauty in the cosmos, but the human person is the most beautiful element of God's creation. And if he took that on himself and entered into it, then...
just think about how important that is and how he elevated the beauty of the human person.
Mm-hmm. That's about it today.
I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah, let's let these... As current events happen in the world, let's let them teach us. The Bible can teach us, but also God can be teaching us lessons in other ways. And I do think that this is the lesson that the last 60, 70 years of scientific exploration in this way can teach us. All right. Well, if you like this episode, please like the episode, subscribe to it, tell
Share
a friend.
With a friend, yeah.
And if you thought this was going to be a Star Trek episode, I apologize, because the title does suggest that maybe it was going to be like a deep dive into Star Trek. We may do that one day, or I may just do it by myself and release it, because Dennis would never be a part of it. But no Star Wars references?
No, not any.
Really?
It's all good. I want to keep it clean.
I'm just going to let that one slide. And we'll see you next week.
All right. God bless.